What's up, everybody? It's AJ Trip coming at you with the word according to me. Now, what I said that I was going to do was I had a written blog, and I was going to take all of my things that I did on the written blog, and I was going to do video blogs since I've started doing the whole YouTube thing. I was going to make those into video blogs, and so I've started that about a week ago, and this is going to be video number 2 in that series. And this is about Scottie Pippen and not being a part of the 50 greatest players in NBA history. Now, understand this: I live in Chicago. I am a Bulls fan, and I am a Scottie Pippen fan, without question. He's the second greatest Bull in the history of the franchise. But when I hear about top 50 players in NBA history, when I hear that thing according to Scottie Pippen, I understand that when they did this, and this was 95, 96, something like that, 96, 97 season, I understand that at that time he might have been one, barely, and I'll get to that in a minute because that's part of my written blog. So, but I really do think that there are some other things that need to be talked about when it comes to 50 greatest players. Now, with that being what that would have been maybe 20 years ago, 20 or 21 years ago that list happened, being the 50 greatest players in NBA history. So now, I wrote this blog the day that Scottie Pippen went into the Hall of Fame. I wrote this blog that day, and and now a few years later, this was written. I forget the date, but it obviously was in like 2010 or something. Let's see. Let's go back. This was written August 13th. 2010. So obviously it's just now 7 years later, and I think there are definitely some things that you can see that maybe Scottie Pippen isn't one of the top 50 greatest players in the NBA history 20 years later, and during that time that might have been like 13 years later or something. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read you the blog how I did it. And what I actually might do is I might put this entire blog into the description box so that you can go along with me, so that you can, because there are no visuals, it's just me talking and talking to you. So maybe you can, you can pull down a little bit, look in the description box, and read along with me, and let you know. Or if you want to see like the list, cause I have the list in the blog of the 50 greatest players and everything like that. So, well, I think that's what I will do. I will put the description. I put in the description box my blog. That way you can look along with me and look at the things that I were looking at. So, okay. All right, so let's get started off. This is how I started it. I know this seems blasphemous to write this on the day Scottie Pippen goes into the Hall of Fame, but I keep hearing him being called one of the 50 greatest players of all time. Now, yes, he was on the original list, but after 13 years, I'm more than willing to look at and revise this list. For the purposes of this blog, however, we'll just focus on Hall of Famer Scottie Pippen. Below, I've included the original 50 greatest players announced in the 1996-97 season, copied from NBA.com. So, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put the original 50 greatest players list in the description box so that you will see that back during 96-97 season, the people who was voted on as the 50 greatest players of all time in NBA history. Okay, so as we go down, now let's continue. See anyone missing from the list? I do. Dominique Wilkins. How does this list not include the human highlight film, Dominique Wilkins? Right here is where I could stop this blog without saying one more word, and I would have made my point. But I have more proof. TNT, on the 10th anniversary of the announcement of the 50th greatest players during the All-Star Weekend, announced the next 10. And I have also included that list as well as the guys who were nominated for that distinction also. So, now you're going to see, now, if you're reading along, now is the list for the, this was copied from Hooppedia.com. Now I'm going to have the next 10, the other nominees and other pre-nominees. So according to TNT, and this would have been 2006-2007 season. This was 10 years later on the 10th anniversary. They have put the next 10. The next 10 would be Kobe Bryant, Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett, Connie Hawkins, Allen Iverson, Jason Kidd, Bob McAdoo, Reggie Miller, Gary Payton, and the aforementioned Dominique Wilkins. Okay? So we're already right there. When you look at those 10, Bryant, Duncan, Garnett, Hawkins, Iverson, Kidd, McAdoo, Miller, Payton, and Wilkins, right? We talk about, do you think those guys are better than Scottie Pippen? And let's get into that a little bit later. Let's talk about the other nominees they had. Walt Bellamy, Joe Dumars, Adrian Dantley, Alex English, Bron James, Dennis Johnson, Bernard King, Tracy McGrady, Artis Gilmore, Bob Lanier, and Dennis Rodman. Those were another set of nominees that they chose from. And then apparently they also had some other pre-nominees as well. So they did just like the NFL does the Hall of Fame. They had the quarterfinals and the semifinals, and they had the finals list. So other pre-nominees: Mark Aguirre, Maurice Cheeks, Bob Davies, Joe Fulks, Tom Heinsohn, Dan Issel, Kevin Johnson, Dirk Nowitzki, Steve Nash, JoJo White, and Dwyane Wade. Okay, so those were the other pre-nominees during that time, during the TNT's 10th anniversary of that list, right? Okay, so now here's what I continue. As you look at the new 10 additions to the list, not only did they right the wrong of Neek, but they added, in my view, 7 new guys: Bryant, Duncan, Miller, Garnett, Iverson, Kidd, and Wilkins, who I would consider better than Scottie Pippen, and one who is on the same level, Gary Payton. Then to look at the guys who made the first cut, I think I can truly say LeBron James has surpassed Pippen by miles. Now this was, again, when I wrote this in 2010, he had surpassed him by miles. And now we know, at least for me, LeBron James is the second greatest basketball player of all time behind Michael Jordan, in my eyes. So I think there's no doubt that even if you just put LeBron James up in that 50 and take out Scottie Pippen, because LeBron James is better than those other 10. So if you take him out, take Scottie Pippen out, put LeBron James in, that would work fine as well, right? I don't think nobody would disagree with me on that case, would they? I don't think so either. I continue. As for the guys who were the first eliminated, Nowitzki and Wade, I think, are a little better than Pippen, but he has 6 championships to fight that battle. Now, that was 2010. Now, as we move on, we know that Nowitzki got his ring, right? We know Wade he already had 1. He got 2 more, went to 2 more championships. Dwyane Wade is by far, like, fucking things with the not only everything stopped. By far, Dwyane Wade, I think, has surpassed Scottie Pippen. And I think Dirk Nowitzki is, he's the greatest foreign-born player to ever play in the NBA. Dwyane Wade is by most people the second greatest shooting guard, the third greatest shooting guard, behind Jordan and Bryant. So I think that 7 years later, as I look at it, both Nowitzki and Wade are past Scottie Pippen in the greatness area, right? Okay, let's continue with that. However, Steve Nash, a 3-time NBA MVP, I think he's gonna be 2-time, not 3-time. Let's say a 2-time NBA MVP, has become the second best point guard in league history. Magic Johnson, I guess, is probably a top 20 player of all time. Now, let's take that question right there, because I think I was a little bit out over my skis on that. I really do. I don't think Steve Nash is a top 20 player of all time. Listen. I think there's 20 people better than Steve Nash. But I definitely think Steve Nash, if you would put a top 50 player of all time, I definitely think you could put Steve Nash in that list. Second rated point guard behind Magic. I'd have to think about that, because there is Jason Kidd, there's Mark Jackson, so there's John Stockton. So I'd have to think about that. But as for the purpose of this blog, him being better than Scottie Pippen, now I'm thinking. No, I know what? I'm going to put Nash on the same level as Pippen. So Pippen, Gary Payton, Steve Nash, they're on that same level of greatness. Hall of Famers, without question, great players, but they're on that same level. That's what I'm going to do right now. Let's continue. So as we add up, that's 58 players who are better than Scottie Pippen and 3 who are his equal. I think that's 2. Who's the other one who's on his level? Okay, so maybe I was going Nowitzki and Wade. So we can just say, take Nowitzki and Wade out, Payton and Nash. So there's 2 on his level, and that would mean that there would be 60 players who are better than Scottie Pippen. But that's just from this particular event put on by TNT. There are more people we're not talking about. Tony Parker, Paul Pierce, Vince Carter, Ray Allen, Chris Webber, Carmelo Anthony, and Kevin Durant. Well, maybe not. Too early to tell with Kevin. That was back in 2010. Now, there's no need to know. Kevin Durant is a top 15 player of all time. I don't think there's no question about that. Right? So then let's think about this. What else did I write? With Tony, Melo, and Pierce, I would say yes to those 3. That makes 61. So in conclusion, Scottie Pippen is a top 62 NBA player. It is not to disgrace Pip or crap on his big day. I listen to a lot of sports radio, and when they give him the prefix of top 50 NBA player, I have to disagree wholeheartedly, with the utmost respect to the newest member of the Basketball Hall of Fame. Now remember, I wrote that back in August of 2010 when he was inducted or enshrined, however you say that. Okay, so let's go back over that again, right? Because I definitely think Melo passed Scottie Pippen, even though Scottie has 6 rings, right? But I think overall, just when you think about it, Melo is a better player. I think obviously Kevin Durant is a better player. Tony Parker, Paul Pierce, Vince Carter, Ray Allen, Chris Webber. Yeah, I'm gonna say Scottie was better than those guys. I'm definitely gonna say Scottie Pippen was better than those guys. So I think then there's 2000. That was 2010. Is there any guys since then that could have passed him up? Like I'm not thinking about Paul George. I don't think Paul George is there yet. LaMarcus Aldridge. I don't think LaMarcus Aldridge is there yet. Russell Westbrook. I don't think Russell Westbrook is there yet. I don't think James Harden is there yet as well. I don't think Klay Thompson is. I think Steph Curry is. I think Steph Curry is definitely past Scottie Pippen as being one of the greatest players in NBA history, if you were to rank them. I'm trying to think if there are any others that I'm missing right now. Dwight Howard. Is Dwight Howard a better than Scottie Pippen? I'm going to say no. How about Yao Ming, who's going into the Hall of Fame, right? Is Yao Ming better? I don't think his career was long enough. I would say no. So, post down in the comment section. Is there anybody else that I'm missing that would be better than Scottie Pippen? Okay, so now let's go back and let's count. Let's count the original 50, right? Let's count the original 50. We have 50. Then let's take out Scottie, set him to the side. So that's the 49, the original 49 other than Scottie, right? So then we have TNT's next 10, right? So we got Bryant, Duncan, Garnett, Hawkins, Iverson, Kidd, McAdoo, Miller, Payton, and Wilkins, right? So that would be 59. I've said Payton is on the same level, so that would be 58. I got to be honest with you. I did not see Bob McAdoo or Connie Hawkins. However, I am going to give them the benefit of the doubt and just say, okay, leave those in. So that would be 58. So let's then look at the other nominees, right? Bellamy, Dumars, Dantley, English, James, Johnson, King, McGrady, Gilmore, Lanier, Rodman. James, McGrady, better than Pippen. So now we went from 58. Now we're at 60. Now we're at 60, right? So that's 60. So we got so then the other pre-nominees: Mark Aguirre, Maurice Cheeks, Bob Davies, Joe Folks, Tommy Heinsohn, Dan Issel, Kevin Johnson, Dirk Nowitzki, Steve Nash, JoJo White, and Dwyane Wade. I've said Nowitzki and Wade are better, than Scottie Pippen. So now we're at 62. We're at 62, right? So then now we look at the guys that weren't even talked about, like Tony Parker, Paul Pierce, Vince Carter, Ray Allen, Chris Webber, Carmelo Anthony, Kevin Durant. Carmelo Anthony, Kevin Durant, better than Scottie Pippen. Now we're at 64. So now we look at that. So really, going back now from 2010 now to here to 2017, basically you can say I had him in 2010 as a top 62 NBA player. He is now a top 65 NBA player. So really, in reality, Scottie Pippen is really a top 65 NBA player. And again, and I will say this like I wrote, like this is not to disgrace Scottie Pippen or to crap on his big day or to make anything like this, because Scottie Pippen was a hell of a player. He's an all-time great without question. Like I say, he's the second greatest Bull in Bull history. But I just wanted to really give him the right ranking, so that when we talk about him, we talk about Scottie Pippen as being a top 65 NBA player and not a top 50 NBA player, because there's no way he is a top 50 NBA player. Okay? So, in conclusion, I'm going to put all of this down in the description box, like I said earlier. Let you read it, how I wrote it. Maybe what I might even do is, instead of putting all of this down there, maybe I just might link the actual blog, because I still have my blog up. Even though I'm not going to do any more writing, because I have YouTube now, all my blogging is going to be through video. But I would link the original blog in the description, instead of putting everything down in there, now that I think about it. So then you can go ahead, you can read along with me and make your own assumptions about that. Okay? Please, post your comments down below. I got a lot of feedback on the Peyton Manning is the greatest of all time video. And I think one of the reasons why I did it, because it was called Point Blank Period End of Discussion, which means I didn't want to hear any other opinions. And I understand that, because I kind of do. I mean, listen, you have an opinion, that's okay, about the greatest quarterback of all time. You're just wrong, with all due respect. It's Peyton Manning, but not Tom Brady. But this one, listen, this is not. I'm not saying that this is just the end of discussion. This is more. I want lots of discussion on this. Please, so please, Post your comments down below. Tell me what you think. Did I miss anybody? Am I totally off here? Am I, lowering Scottie Pippen's worth as an NBA basketball player? Please let me know. Let's have a great discussion about this. So post your comments down below. Tell me what you're thinking. I really want to hear it. I really want to have this discussion about Scottie Pippen, one of the greatest basketball players in NBA history, and what I've decided is as a top 65 NBA player. If you like my video, hit the thumbs up. Share it with all your family and friends. This is something I think you're really going to want to share with everybody. If it's just like, listen, look what this guy said. It's this idiot. Or, look, share this video and say, dude, I've been telling you Scottie Pippen isn't that great. This guy believes, and he sets it down. He has a better argument than I have. So just, go ahead, share it with your family and friends. And most importantly, make sure you subscribe. Because, listen, I've got a whole bunch of other blogs that are going to be, I think, might be mind-blowing. Got a lot of dating stuff, a lot of other sports stuff. So, a lot of stuff here that I think you don't want to miss. And then combine that with all the reaction videos. My Try Not to Laughs, I think, are good. And everything else is going down. Once I start going to the movies later on, hopefully with Fast and Furious, I'm going to be doing movie reviews, is things that you don't want to miss. So hit that subscribe button. And if you're a gamer, go over to A2020 Gaming, subscribe there, do a lot of gaming. I just recently beat Watch Dogs 2. Later on tonight, Major League Baseball, the show 17 comes out. So definitely going to be a lot of streaming going on. I don't want to miss it. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for everything. Alright? It is your boy AJ Tripp signing off.